I'm a professional Japanese hoof trimmer. Today, I'd like to introduce you one of the Japanese hoof trimming methods. It is the Corium-parallel trimming method. The weight-bearing surface should be parallel to the corium. There are some similarities with the Kansas method. Of course, functional trimming is very popular in Japan. But the Corium-parallel trimming method is totally different from the Dutch method. I'll explain what it is and how I developed it. Actually, I use a trimming chute and a grinder. Next. I sometimes trim ponies with my chute. It's not because the chute is efficient. The leg form of a pony is just like a cow's. But according to genetics, whales are closer than horses to the cow family. Thanks to farriers, we could develop hoof trimming methods for cows. Well, actually, my master was a farrier, and his knowledge helped to improve our method. At first, the capsule of the claw grows from the coronary band. I think of the body of the claw as a claw cylinder. The base is a face of coronary band, and the other end is cut by the floor. And then it is divided into 2 digits. On the other hand, an equine hoof is not like that. This zigzag conformation of bones is completely different from horses. Their divided claws move by themselves. They are independent. This is why they can walk on uneven ground like rocky mountains, and also they don't mind about playing in a muddy pool. On the other hand, they grow individually. When they live on the yielding ground, it's not a big problem. Both claws may bear appropriate weight and wear normally. But on the concrete, hard, wet, and slippery, the cow has to be careful all the time. When you're nervous on the ice, you clench your toes in your boots. Cows can, and horses can't. This is a good example. I couldn't make it one hoof in the air by hand, so I trimmed one by one individually. I took pictures from the different points to face those claws, and I expected them to be level on the floor. Then I could make it. It stands properly when those digits stay on the floor in harmony. Oh, this is theory 3. In nature or on the pasture, turnover is normal. Seikaku, vivid horn, is covered with white rough horn. I call it pith or chalk. The dead horn, kokaku, becomes chalk and comes off. And then all horn breaks little by little without sole horn support. This rear left calver feet shows you that it shed all kokaku, dead horn, only walls. In this case, you trim only walls, and you have to preserve seikaku, vivid horn. And I call the surface of seikaku kokaku sole. They are near flat individually. I cut out this line located 1/3 from the toe. Both of the kokaku soles are tilting inward, and parallel to the Corium. Once I tried to research the condition of the inside of the claw when you trim the sole perpendicular to the axis, which lies at the center of the shin bone. I used 65 caliber feet. I trimmed flat and then cut at the 1/3 point from the toe to make a cross section. I measured the distance between the Corium and the sole. A is the axial point, B is the abaxial point, and C is the distance between A and B on the Corium. Then I used this data to calculate the angle D. The result is clear. Red is lateral, blue is medial. 6% of lateral claws are less than 5 degrees. This means almost perpendicular to the shin bone. On the other hand, 89% of the medial claws are more than 5 degrees. This means almost all medial claws tilt axially. This research shows you that most of the claws have been tilting more or less, especially almost 90% of the inner claws are tilting inward, and therefore have a narrower weight-bearing area. So if you want to trim it perpendicular to the shin bone, you have to be careful about over-trimming. These MRI images were taken within 3 days after slaughter. You can see the Corium clearly, and also the seikaku-kokaku border. Because of the water content difference, this border is almost parallel to the Corium. If you can see the border and the trim along the border, the sole surface will be parallel to the Corium. The seikaku-kokaku border is quite clear in some claws. In the case of this corkscrew claw, lateral one was crooked, so I trimmed it tilting inward. She stood uneasily after trimming. But 6 months after, she stood properly. And the next 6 months, she was almost okay. On the other hand, this example is a flare hoof. This claw was already trimmed a few months ago by another trimmer. The surface of both digits were leveled. But she couldn't stand properly, so I trimmed the sole along the seikaku-kokaku border. The surface of both digits are not level, but she could stand beautifully. I hope I'll see you again next March in Asakusa, Tokyo, at the 20th International Lameness Conference venue. Thank you.